Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Abington Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee, Wednesday, October 15th, 5 p.m. at Abington Town Hall at the Buckley Room. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Michael was good enough to do the minutes. Anybody want to take a quick look at them? Oops. See if there's any questions? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for doing the minutes, but
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I was wondering just what the 40-unit project on Summer Street,
Mm-hmm.
where is the 40-unit?
I don't know. I might, is it a different amount of units or is it not on Summer Street?
Is that the big one?
Yeah.
0 Summer Street? I think that's what, 190,
Something like that, yes.
191 or 192?
Yeah.
It just like records what we say, so it would have misheard
Oh,
40
it
to,
probably
like,
missed it. Okay, I didn't know if it was a new
yeah,
one.
no.
Okay.
It probably, whatever word we said, it understood for 40.
Okay, so we can just, we'll just amend
Make
that.
that, you make that amendment. Okay. Anything else?
No, but it does break it down more specifically if we want more detail next time. But I don't know if the summary is good or.
No, you're.
No, that's great.
This is great,
This
thank
is more than what we usually do for the minutes.
you. Yeah, we don't have Ellen on the committee.
Yeah.
She used to do
I know.
with us. But anyway, thank you, Michael. So a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second? I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We don't have any correspondence that I know of. So we have our friend, Mr. Jason, from Old Colony Planning Council, and he's going to talk about the Town of Abington Housing Production Plan, which is Old Colony Planning Council has done for us.
Bruce, can I just interrupt for a minute and before we go into this? Because Ellen brought it to my attention that we did not vote on the minutes from last time.
Okay, all right.
So if you
Okay.
want to just,
So,
We'll read
okay,
them
would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the September meeting?
I'll make that motion to approve.
and I'll second.
Second?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So we have the motion, we have the minutes from the September and the October meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Jason, you're up. You will talk about this?
Great. Good afternoon. I'm here to present on the updated housing production plan. Abington's last housing production plan was done in 2019. They're in 5-year increments, and so the 2019 housing production plan was expiring, which prompted the updated version of the housing production plan for 2025. With that said, the purpose of a housing production plan is to serve as a framework for towns in Massachusetts to meet their sort of subsidized housing inventory requirements, as well as provide an overview for the kinds of housing that's needed as towns sort of change or shift, right? Population change, household and demographic changes, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all sort of framed out within the update. What I wanted to do was sort of come here to hear your thoughts on the housing production plan update, any feedback you have, questions, concerns, because once this is sort of update or revised based off of your feedback, it will go out for public review, larger public review. And then any changes that need to be made through that process before it's sent to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOHLC, for their final sort of review, any comments that they have, and their adoption. Once adopted, the town of Abington will have sort of access to ongoing grants and things that are made available for towns that have an updated housing production plan. I guess the big takeaways from the housing production plan process, or the update process, is that the town of Abington has met its 10% threshold for subsidized housing inventory. So that as of today, if any new housing that's built will shift that number. And so I think for the foreseeable future, Abington, I think, sits comfortably, I won't say safe, but sits comfortably at 10%, barring any major development projects that might come in, additional units that might come into the market that will change your overall housing stock, and balancing that with the 10%. There's also a supply target that's listed or contained within the housing production plan. It's on page 12 under the goals, or the overview of the goals rather, for 611 units. And so it says the housing production plan will aim to create or preserve approximately 611 housing units, including smaller units, by 2035. 500 of these units will be new construction, 20% to be SHI eligible, and the preservation of all 111 units managed by the Abington Housing Authority. The state likes to see housing targets in a housing production plan. The 2019 HPP didn't include housing targets, so I'm kind of surprised that it ended up getting approved without them. But it sets sort of again that roadmap or that framework. You will also notice on page 20 and 21, these are the goals and strategies section. Over the next 5 years, there are 6 goals, so I did sort of boil it down further from what I presented to you last month, and 29 overall strategies. It does say it within this plan, but it's not. The 6 goals and 29 strategies should not be sort of seen as a checkbox or a checklist. Like, you need to do all of these. It sort of sets out a menu of options that the Affordable Housing Trust, in addition to other town staff and town departments, can do in order to meet the overall housing goals and housing needs for the town of Abington. So I can just open it up for general conversation, questions, comments, concerns.
When do we absolutely have to have the comments into you, Jason?
So
16th or something?
I think, so I finished this a little early, trying to provide additional flexible time depending on what the state, depending on how long the state will take to sort of provide comments. So this has to be adopted formally, I suppose, by the end of the year, due to the contract that we have with the town of Abington. And that includes the state process. So I would say if I could get comments from the Affordable Housing Trust, then I'll reach out to Liz and Kevin for their comments as well. By the 31st of the month, which is 2 weeks and 2 days, if that's enough time for you all to provide comments. That'll give me enough time the first week of November to do any sort of revisions that are necessary, and then post it for public comment, to have that closed before probably Thanksgiving, and then send it to the state by the end of November, early December.
And the planning board's going to have to approve this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so,
But that'll be after our comments. Yeah.
so you remind me. So in terms of process, so I'm here this evening presenting to you with the hopes of getting on the planning board and select board agenda, so both boards have to adopt, approve. And you'll notice that there's a page sort of held for the EOHLC approval letter, which finalizes this whole thing, and from the town administrator, but essentially I need the planning board and select board approval.
Well, since I'm chair of the
For
planning
November.
board, Liz Shea, who was our town planner, sent this off to the members of the planning board. So I'm sure the guys are reviewing it, and I have a printed copy of it, so it'd be easier for me to see.
I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
So one thing I was talking to Liz about the other day, I saw, actually your name came up through my email, that in Whitman, you worked with them and they had 40-hour zoning.
I'm currently working with the town of Whitman to pursue
Yeah.
potential 40-hour zoning.
Is that an option in Abington? And if so, like, what are the issues with zoning overlays?
So, yep. So 40R, and I think I have it listed here as a potential strategy for the town of Abington to potentially pursue 40R zoning as a way to provide more housing to what's referred to as the missing middle, which is sort of like middle income, folks that are not sort of served by income restricted housing, and for folks that market rate is too expensive, right? And so these generally tend to be smaller, largely rental units. With some home ownership. Now, if you're looking at home ownership, that's 40Y. 40R is really focused on smart growth, which sort of like centered around transit.
Yep.
Small, walkable, sort of compact.
So that's
residential
because like
communities.
now we qualify for MBTA. Is it related to that?
Yeah, so MBTA communities is sort of modeled slightly off of 40R. So the way that it works is that for 40R, you would want to designate an area that's sort of within a mile of a public transportation station or major bus route. Abington doesn't have bus service, and so it would largely be the commuter rail station. It's similar to MBTA communities in some cases. However, the differences are more nuanced. For example, MBTA community zoning does not require anything get built, right? It's just a zoning
Yeah,
exercise.
exactly.
40R, the whole purpose of that is to generate development.
Yep.
And so the Whitman example, I overlaid the 40R zone with their MBTA community zone. And so it's not the whole area, but it's a part of it. Abington could essentially do that if they wanted to, but from what I understand and from what I've seen, a majority of where Abington has their MBTA community zoning will not support
Yep, okay.
residential development. However, if there's an area sort of close to or near the commuter rail station within a mile that might be well suited for 40R district, we could certainly pursue that. So
I was thinking the North School is near the train stop.
So the requirements are, you need an area that's approximately 20 acres
Okay.
for 40R zoning. There are communities like Lee, Massachusetts, that have approximately less than a mile, less than an acre, designated for their district. However, the requirement for 40R is for multifamily. For multifamily, it's 20 units per acre. For townhouses, it's 12 units per acre. And for single family homes, it's 8 units per acre. The Lee example for multifamily, it's 50 units per acre.
Okay.
So the state will approve smaller areas
Yep.
if it sort of like provides meaningful residential
Yeah.
development. And so, in short, it might make sense for Abington to be some sort of like scenario building you'd have to do. Some of the benefits of adopting 40R is that the town gets what's referred to as a zoning incentive payment if the town approves it at town meeting.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye.
For Whitman, that amount is $350,000 for just adopting the district. And then you get $3,000 for every unit built. So the different scenarios that are built out for Whitman is anywhere between 1.1 million and I think 3.5 million, depending on how many units end up getting built in that district.
Is the like 350K, is that based on population or is that based on like a whole?
Yeah, no, they have a formula, so it
Alright.
ranges from I think at the very low end a couple of hundred
Yeah.
to 600,000, depending on population and those kinds of things.
All right, I have one other question not related to that. In here, it talks about water supply and, how do we determine how much water we will need based on the growth? Because that's something that people have been talking to me a lot about is like concerns about water and expansion and stuff.
So the water and infrastructure components are contained within the development constraints section of the plan, which is toward the end. Abington gets water from the Brockton Waterworks plant, and so I got a lot of that information from Liz
We get our water from
From Rockland?
Abington
Oh,
Rockland
Rockland.
Joint Water.
Well, we get
That's
two
right.
different,
Sewer,
we
sewer,
get the
no,
sewer.
sewer
Yeah.
goes primarily to Brockton, some goes to
but
Rockland.
isn't from two different places, like a little part is from.
You have Sandy Bottom in Pembroke,
Yeah.
you got, the reservoir in Hingham, and then you have
Myers
Myers.
Ave.
Because I saw,
Yeah.
just today, I saw that like Rockland was having issues with their own water.
If you've got this in here, Jason, you better
Yeah.
correct it to me.
No, it's on page 106, and it does say Abington Rockland Joint Water Works.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
working-
okay, that's good.
And sewer capacity from Brockton.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to brag that I read to the end, so.
Working on a number of these, sometimes the.
Yeah. No,
You get the gold
it gets
star
blurred,
tonight,
but-
Michael.
Yeah.
So it does say here, page 106, the Abington Rockland Joint Water Works, which provides the community water supply, is under strain, while a $150,000 grant in 2018 funded design work to increase capacity by 160,000 gallons per day. New PFAS treatment requirements have diverted much of the system's capital funding towards compliance efforts, restricting expansion and limiting capacity for future growth. So I think, and this is something that a lot of towns in Massachusetts, particularly the South Shore, are looking at, is that there's a need to sort of provide housing opportunities while infrastructure is constrained, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's a delicate balance. There was legislation that was being sort of considered last legislative cycle to expand water and sewer infrastructure to the South Shore via Weymouth. That did not pass sort of the consolidation process, but that might be something that the legislature might revisit
Okay.
in a future legislative session. And it was in the bond, economic development bond bill to provide money to expand infrastructure. So I think for Abington's case, because you have met the 10% threshold for subsidized housing, the new development, the new construction is probably will happen most likely, depending on the constraints that are available or that limit residential development. However, I think the focus for the next 5 years for Abington should be really about the preservation, because you have a number of units that will be coming off of the subsidized housing inventory. Not a whole lot in the near future. I think it's like a couple of units, and please excuse me while I look for it, just so I make sure I give
Mount
the right
Laurel.
numbers. Mount Laurel,
No.
which I think are a couple of units.
I think it's 4, right?
Four, but then there's another one.
Is it above that?
Abington Glen, up on, off of
Yeah.
Chestnut.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, 100, Chestnut Glen, which is
Yeah.
130 units, and those
Yeah.
expire in 2032. So you want to make sure that if you're not developing new affordable housing, that you preserve what you have, because then that will,
Yeah.
obviously. And then a focus on preserving and maybe upgrading and updating the units through the Abington Housing Authority.
Yeah.
Which is not adding any new housing necessarily, which wouldn't have any sort of significant impact on current infrastructure.
Jason, by the way, this is Paul Bunker, he's on the board slide.
We've met before at, I think, open space, one of the open
Okay.
space meetings.
Yes,
Good.
probably.
Cool, cool.
That's all my questions.
Yeah, his sister teaches Sunday school in Winter. Well, it seems that Michael is the one who's read this report the most thoroughly. And now that we have paper copies of it, from my sight impaired eyes, I can actually read this thing. And having worked at Old Colony Planning Council for a long time, I have a lot of experience, and planning board for a long time, a lot of experience in reviewing these things. So we'll get this. So you need this, say again, is it by the 31st?
Ideally by the 31st, because you just reminded me, this also has to go before the planning board and select board before it gets sent to the state for their final review. So just making sure that I don't back myself into any corners regarding timeline. If I can get it if I can get all comments no later by the 31st, that way the planning board and select board can have it on their agenda, and I can have, what I'll do is I'll have a public comment period at the same time that you're reviewing it. Just because if I can revise it once, it probably makes more sense than revising it multiple times. And then I'll confirm with Liz for the date of the planning board and select board, because if it gives you a little more time to provide comment, I'll do that, just so that I can have it in its final form for the planning board and select board.
Well, I'm retired, so I have lots of time to review these things.
And if it's easier for everyone, rather than sending me sort of like comments via email saying like on page this and on page that or in paragraph this, since you all have it in hard copy, if you want to write your comments in the hard copy,
Yep.
I can coordinate with Bruce and he can let me know when they're all available and I can just come pick them up and just work through them
Yeah,
that way.
because eventually we're gonna get a hard copy of this thing anyway.
Yes, we
Hopefully.
will have them printed, and one will be provided to the town.
Awesome.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have anything else for Jason? Stick around. I need your comments on this. I'll go out of order here. On the agenda we have tonight, we have the update on the North and Center Schools. At the ZBA at their meeting on October 9th had an article to discuss, let's see, Town of Abington, 702, petition of the Town of Abington for a variance to convert vacant school to multi-use dwellings with 20 one-bedroom units. And this is North and Center. So I was just watching, I should have gone to that meeting. PM, you went to it, right? Paul, did you go to it?
I did not.
Okay, you didn't go.
Nope.
Okay, well, I was just, see, I try to watch all these meetings if I don't attend. I was just watching the meeting, and I had to leave for this meeting. But my wife told me that they approved the variances for the center school with no changes, 20 units. And the north school, they approved it, and conceivably they could tear the building down, as I understood that.
Apparently, there's a lot of asbestos that's
Yeah.
really costly.
So they're going along with redeveloping that site, but they may have to tear the building down. These were both built at the same time, you know, WPA projects in person. But it's good that those have been approved. You know, what's your take as far as the housing production plan goes? Is it good that those things have been approved for redevelopment?
I mean, without knowing like the specifics, I can say yes, but, and the but is sort of like a number of questions. So for example, what sort of market or population are these units sort of seeking to serve? Do they provide that information? Is it senior housing? Is it income restricted housing? Is it market rate? 'Cause that'll-
Market rate.
So it's all market
Yeah.
rate?
All
Yes.
market rate.
Okay, so that will
Yeah.
add additional, so how many units in total?
It's
40.
up to.
40?
So our
It's
percentage
up to
is going
40.
down.
Up to,
So you'd have to sort of like do the math to figure out exactly like how that would impact your, actually I can do that right now, if you please hold.
and that was pretty huge when we were meeting. We did a lot of work.
But wasn't part of the initial agreement that a certain amount was gonna be affordable? Which I think he's doing the math for to figure out.
Well, when I was listening to the meeting, you know, our town, Skyline Basie said, you know, they want to work with us and stuff like that. But I think the town is, I think they're going to try to go for market rate on those things. Yeah.
You said 40?
They didn't get any interest in it.
No, they've had several,
They did
several.
2 or 3 RFPs and they got no,
Yeah. So they're thinking the way they structured this now, they'll get some interest in it. Of course,
So-
they can't do anything in North School because till the DPW moves
yeah.
out.
So at least in the, I will say, short to medium term, because development takes time, and if one building has to be torn down and sort of redeveloped, and that obviously, or developed new, that'll obviously take additional time. So the town of Abington, according to the 2020 year census, has 6,799 year-round units. If you get the 40 additional units through this project, that'll bring you up to 6,839. 10% of that is 684 roughly, and you have 697 affordable units. So that would still put you above the 10% with an additional 10%, assuming that Mount Laurel doesn't fall off in 2028, and Chestnut Glen does not fall off in 2032. So there's a number of sort of things to consider in terms of preservation and creation. If the town is building, or if new housing is being built in the town, you want to make sure that A, you're getting as many affordable units according to 40B requirements as possible to get them on the SHI, and you're not losing any affordable units, right? Because it's sort of a delicate balance of sort of like adding housing and maintaining the 10%.
How does that process work with those coming off on those dates? Like how how do we keep them on, like, what's, you know?
Yep,
Is
so
it
in the
published?
appendices, when the final draft is posted, you'll sort of, have sort of instructions on how to do that.
Oh, okay.
But essentially, you want to, the town would want to reach out to the, what's referred to as the subsidizing agency. That's sort of keeping those units affordable. For Mount Laurel, that's a combination of MHP, Metro Housing Partnership, and the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And for Chestnut Glen, it's Mass Housing.
Okay.
And then you want to make sure that the affordability restrictions are sort of extended, and that EOHLC updates their inventory to reflect that they're not expired.
I always think there should be a meeting. We should have this, the terms transposed on the screen, so people understand what all these terms mean, all these additions and stuff. Now, we understand. I don't have a problem with this, Jason, but, it's always good to explain the acronyms sometimes, too.
Yep, and you'll notice in Appendix A, which is the one appendix I did provide to everyone, just because, I was trying to save paper, is a glossary of terms. As every term that's listed in this housing
When
plan.
I was doing the Old Colony Planning Council SEDS, Economic Development Study, I put in a list of acronyms in the back. I don't know if Dawn and Nick are still doing that, but I did. And I always thought it was a good idea to explain the projects and stuff like that. Okay, do we have anything else for Jason?
I do not think so.
No. Awesome job, my friend. I'm biased, of course, because I haven't been finished with the Old Colony Planning Council, but I think you did a great job.
Thank you, and I tried to make it, two things, as visually appealing as possible, because sometimes reading these plans you can get like hazy-eyed, where you're just reading tables and graphs. And then I moved up the goals and strategies section, the implementation plan, to the beginning of the plan, and put in a number of links and resources, so that whoever's working on something, whether it's the planning board, the Affordable Housing Trust, the Housing Authority, have sort of like examples, case studies, or references that they can look at to sort of see how do we do 40R zoning or 40Y zoning, or what are we looking at to do. So.
Good.
So the one thing that would be helpful, in addition to sort of like text edits, which are always appreciated, because when I'm looking at something for hours a day, sometimes I miss a comma, or something's misspelled. But additionally, the content of the plan, if there is a goal that you're sort of concerned about, or something you're curious as to why it was added, or you just have just general comments or concerns about anything, mark those down, and I can work that through when I'm doing the revisions. Additionally, the action plan also includes a timeline as well as responsible parties. The main responsible party for a particular strategy is bolded. If something doesn't make sense to sort of delegate to the Affordable Housing Trust, but instead that should be planning staff or a planning board, raise that. Or if there are other parties that are not referenced in this plan that need to be, whether they're a primary responsible party or a supporting party, list those as well. So I want to make sure that this is reflective of, it can be a tool that various departments and boards and commissions in town can use.
And this thing has to be into the state by the end of the year, you said? Okay. So it's not gonna be featured at the OCPC Summit to be held on
No,
December
I don't
2nd
know. They'll probably
in
talk.
Kingston.
They'll probably talk about it, but I don't know if it's going to be featured. I have 2 projects going through the state process right now.
OCPC has they used to have an annual dinner, now they have something called a summit. And delegates, alternates, employees, and the occasional retiree, like myself, and friends of OCPC get invited to this thing. It's a meal, it's free, so. I'm not gonna have you calling Mary Waldron and saying, Bruce said we could go to a free meal. But anyway, great, thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let me know when I can come grab the
Yes,
comments, and
okay,
I'll continue working with you all.
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay, so we did the, okay, let's do the update on the Abington Habitat for Humanity. I forwarded this to you guys, that they are this is October 7th, anyway, they're accepting applications for the homeownership opportunity. Application deadline is 4 PM on Monday, December 1st, 2025, postmarked by December 1st. Applications are available for pickup at the Abington Public Library at 600 Glenwood's Way and can be downloaded at our website, www.southsshabitat.org/programs. And, see, this is at the house on the corner of 871 Plymouth Street. It's on the corner going down to the senior center and the train station off of Plymouth Street. And I think there's gonna be a lot of interest in people in Abington volunteering
Yeah,
for this
there definitely
project.
is.
I want to. I've got a hard hat,
Yeah.
steel-toed shoes. So we'll keep that, keep everyone informed as to when we'll actually have the opportunity to. But I mean, they're talking about going into next year, so.
Yeah.
The construction will probably be.
I was talking to the person at the booth on at
Yeah.
Oktoberfest, and people can't sign up to volunteer until they finish the project they're working on, but they can go on the website and they can fill out to go on the mailing list. That will also let them know.
Okay. Yeah, I tried that, and I found out you couldn't do that. Okay, that's not what I discuss. Oh, yes, I heard from our member, where's my email mailing list here? I heard from, what's the gentleman who's called, what's his name?
Gavin?
Gavin, and he goes to school in Washington DC. So that's why he hasn't been coming to the meetings and stuff like that. So I guess we should probably look at being able, put these, like a Zoom meeting or something like that. So we
Yeah.
can do that. And Paul, I know you positively can't come to our Monday meeting nights because it's the planning board. Would anyone does this night work for people, for Wednesday night?
I think so.
Selectmen, no?
Wednesday's good for me, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
Selectmen's,
On Mondays.
On
every
Mon-
month,
yeah.
yes, on Monday.
yeah.
so this is the third week of the month, the third Wednesday of the month?
Okay.
That work?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, let's do that. Third Wednesday.
Third Wednesdays is what we're gonna do.
But I donate platelets to the Red Cross on the third Thursday of the month, so this will be easy for me to remember. So, what else? Are we comfortable continuing with the monthly meetings, or would we consider going to quarterly meetings? What's your take on this?
I'm open for whatever everyone else is. I know, there aren't they have a lot more stuff going on than me, so I can make whatever work.
Yeah. What's your take on that, Paul? Would a quarterly meeting do us?
I mean, with the Habitat house going up,
Yeah.
starting up,
I think we
getting
should-
this plan done, I think we should continue doing
Yeah.
the
Monthly meetings?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Okay,
the-
I just wanted to throw this
Yeah.
out and stuff like that. And Paul, you're
And
a
if we do it
construction,
through Zoom, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes it easier if someone can't make a meeting and just
True.
phone in.
we went through that in COVID time. I mean,
Are we
there were a
just
lot of
gonna
planning
do-
board, select board meetings and stuff like that.
the
I still like
missing
in
on
person.
Zoom. Like, we wouldn't be doing Zoom meetings. We'd be meeting,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I
they'd
think
be on
just-
Zoom. They'd come in
Just
on-
Gavin, or
Yeah,
if someone
okay.
I
can't
think it'd
make
be
it.
for Gavin.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm totally in favor. Old Colony Planning Council, it still does all their meetings by Zoom. And I noticed the JTC meetings, or Joint Transportation Committee meetings, attendance has gone way off. I go to that, Kevin Coley, and of course, John Stone is the chair of the JTC committee. And I've been, I've been on the JTC like 43 years. I was appointed by Wilbur Hollis. Remember, he was like the first town administrator we had. And I still have the letter, and the address was at the old town hall at Randolph Street, so. Okay, so I'm really getting old.
Grew up across the street from there.
This is great. It's always good to see you, Paul, Pam, Michael, and, good. So we've got some reading and commenting to do.
Yep.
And so let's, as soon as we can, let's sign up to volunteer for the Habitat. I'll still keep pursuing the North Quincy Street thing. I drive by the project near your neighborhood every Sunday after church, and that thing's gangbusters, considering they started that like at the first year, right?
Be happy when the trucks stop going by my house. I think my
Yeah.
walls and my ceilings are gonna fall in before the end of the project's done.
Well, it's all sheathed, and they've got security there, so.
Yeah.
So,
Working every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when do we-
traffic is crazy.
When are we gonna try and get this plan before planning board and select board? Just, I'm thinking, is the third Wednesday of next month gonna be too far away
No,
for
no,
us to
no.
discuss this again? or-
We have to do is get the comments.
Okay,
Yeah, he
To-
said to go
to
through it,
Jason.
write down.
Okay.
And I think they're looking at doing it in November. Now, the planning board meets on the first Monday of the month, and the select board meets a couple of times.
yeah,
So I think if we get our comments to Jason, and then he can work with
He said
uh,
by the
Liz and
31st.
Nancy to set up the appointments for the
Oh,
planning
okay.
board.
Our comments.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if you weren't here for the, he's saying
Yeah.
on the hard physical, actual hard copy,
Yeah.
make your notes and then we can just give them
and
over.
get them to me, and then I'll get them to
Yep.
Jason. So, does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Terrific. Well, it's been a great meeting, and I'm glad we got good attendance tonight, stuff like that.
Good.
And it was good that they had Habitat had the booth at the Oktoberfest
Yeah.
last weekend, too. I'm sad to say, I work 3 to 11 on weekends. Last Saturday, I worked 3 PM to 3 AM, and my relief came at 3:30. So I was a tired man at the end of that shift. But my wife stayed up for me. Anyway, okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
So, I'm gonna make a motion to.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Aye.
Seconded, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, and volunteer for the Habitat for Humanity when it comes up.